Now that I've taken early retirement, I often start my day watching breakfast TV with a pot of tea. I catch up with the news, listen to the experts, wonder at the diversity of opinion, and occasionally despair at the state of the world. On certain channels, I encounter the prize draw. Just phone this number and you could be the winner of a life-changing amount of cash. Now, the other week, it wasn't just a cash prize, you could also get a car. And not just any car, a big, posh, high-spec Range Rover, and we were given the guided tour. Now, I must admit, I like the colour. But to be absolutely honest, it's not a prize I would want to win. A big car like that is just not me. And it got me wondering, what car would I buy? Money, no object. Now there's a whole range of things that could influence my decision, apart from the colour. What was the shape? What make was it? Were there safety features? How about fuel economy? The list is endless. You see, even though a car is just a means of getting from A to B, when it comes to buying a car, there's a lot more at stake. You'll have seen the proud owner on the bright day washing and polishing their pride and joy, and it becomes obvious that for some people the car is their very own status symbol. It's all tied up with their image. Are they boy racers or safe, dependable Volvo drivers? You see, it's hard to take types of car without going into stereotypes. Now, when we read stories about Jesus, it seems fairly obvious that most of his life he gets around by walking. There are a few road trips, but by and large, like everybody else, he went on foot. So, as we turn to today's passage from the Gospels, we have to ask the question, why did Jesus upgrade from walking to a donkey? Now, where does a donkey rank in your dream list of modes of transport? A shaggy, plodding, more used to carrying baskets of lettuces to the market donkey. When I read this story, I always wonder what happened before. I was thinking about where I could get a donkey, and I'm sure if I turned up at Cannon Hall Farm and tried to walk off with one of their donkeys, there would be a bit of a kerfuffle. The writer of the Gospel didn't fill in the boring details about the name of the village, whose house it was, how Jesus had set this all up, because I think it was planned. It wasn't just a spur-of-the-moment decision. Jesus always seems to walk everywhere. So why was it so important to get a ride today? Did Jesus choose a donkey just for practical reasons? A man on a donkey is a bit higher up. He can see what's going on, and he can be seen. And it might be easier for him to get through the crowds that were thronging the city gate as they got in town for the Passover. Nobody in open-toed sandals wants to get close to a donkey. Or did he choose it for other reasons? What impression is Jesus putting forward? Mark's Gospel account doesn't give us many clues, but if we turn to Matthew's account, we find that some people started to remember a prophecy written many years earlier, recorded in the Hebrew Bible by the prophet Zechariah. Rejoice, rejoice, people of Zion, shout for joy, you people of Jerusalem. Look, your king is coming to you. He comes triumphant and victorious, but humble and riding on a donkey, on a colt, the foal of a donkey. As we read on into Mark's account, we will see that people did take this idea seriously. They started to hail him as king. Is this what Jesus wanted? To be recognised as a king? Was he a revolutionary, wanting to start a coup, throw out the Roman occupiers, make Israel great again? I think this is unlikely. When, after a long teaching session out in the fields, when he had to feed 5,000 people because they'd got nothing to eat, they wanted to make him king. A king who would always be there to give them bread. And Jesus disappeared off into the hills on his own. And we know he didn't end up on a gilded throne in Jerusalem. So, did he want to be king? So why did he choose a donkey? I think he was trying to convey a lot more humbler message. That he came as a servant, as a peacemaker. His kingdom was not about displays of power or lording it over people. It was a kingdom where the weak are valued, the broken are healed, love is shared. Jesus was prompting people to think about who he was and what he stood for. A lot of them had heard about him. Some of them had actually even met him, but they had to decide what to do next. So what about us? I don't really want to compare donkeys and churches, but the donkey carried Jesus, and the church is here to convey, to carry the message of Jesus. What image are we projecting? Do we get a bit too hung up on our image, trying to maintain what we think it should look like? Our choices are important. What people see does matter. But Jesus chose a donkey, something quiet and humble and in the background, to help pass his message along. And we too are asked to be people who share the message of Jesus, who pass the message on, who show Jesus in the right light and not in the wrong light. As the donkey quietly carried Jesus, with no thought for its own status, do we need to learn again how to follow our servant King. And now a prayer. Prayer of confession. Forgive us, Lord, when we celebrate only the winners, when we are carried along by the image of success, when we value the image more than the content, when we ignore the ones who are not popular, who are struggling, who are left behind. Forgive us, Lord, when we worry more about what others think of us than you, when we work so hard to maintain our image at the cost of hurting others, when we fear that humbling ourselves would be seen by others as weakness. Forgive us, Lord, when our image of you is faulty, when we try to force you into doing things the way we want, instead of quietly waiting for your lead and a direction. Lord, in your mercy, hear our prayer. Amen.